All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we got the first topic of the day. Redskins retire the number 49 of their first black player, Bobby Mitchell. I got a lot of info on him. I honestly did not know a lot about him because he played back in the 50s and 60s. So it was kind of cool to learn some about a Redskins great, which he clearly was once you actually look into what he was. But he was
Yeah,
inducted
and for the
into.
record, I'm
Good.
sorry, for the record, he was before my time too. Really, I was 4 years old when he retired. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I didn't really.
How dare
I'm
you
not
not
that old.
follow him? How dare you not follow him for the entire 4 years of your childhood? No. But he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame in 1983. He was a halfback slash receiver hybrid. Little Antonio Gibson, I guess, but hopefully Antonio Gibson can follow in his footsteps. I found this cool. His first game as a Redskin, he ran back a 92-yard kickoff return against Dallas. We like to hear that. His
Yep.
first two seasons were just ridiculous numbers. Looking at this for at the time, obviously football was a much more heavy run game uh, back in the day, and then also it was a 14 game season. So his first year was 72 catches, which was first in the league, 1,384 yards, which was first in the league by over 200 yards to the next closest person.
Well,
Uh,
just for the record, this was his first year with the Redskins. He played for Cleveland before that.
Yes, you're right. It was first two
Okay.
seasons
All right.
in a Redskins uniform. Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah.
They were
That's okay.
ridiculous. So, and then also 11 touchdowns, which was good for third in the league. Uh, the second season was again a 69 catches, which was second in the league, 1,436 yards, which again was over 100 yards over the next person, and seven touchdowns that included a 99-yard touchdown reception, which is obviously tied for the longest that you could ever get. His
Yep.
career ended with a total of 14,078 all purpose yards, which was good for second at the time that he retired, only behind the great Jim Brown. So if that's the one person you have to trail when you retire, I guess that's not so bad. Uh, he averaged 5.3 yards per rush and 15.3 yards per catch. Insanity.
Wow, what a joke.
Yeah.
That's as
Yep.
good as he could do.
Exactly. And then, but after we retired, which was kind of cool, is that he actually became a Redskins front office member as a scout, and he was there for 35 years. Unfortunately, he did want to become the first black GM, but he was passed over twice by the Redskins. One for Bobby Beathard. Can you really complain about that? I think he had some success here at the Redskins general manager. But the second one was Charlie Casserly, which was not a great tenure as a Redskins GM, you would say, which would have been
No,
interesting to see what he would
I
do.
think he rode the coattails of Bobby Beathard, and he wasn't nearly as good as him.
Yep. And unfortunately, Bobby Mitchell did die a few months ago on April 5th, 2020. And the only thing left I had on here was that he was previously the only jersey that the Redskins had retired was Sammy Baugh's number 33. They have a bunch of like numbers that are the untouchables, but they are technically not retired. Hence why Joe Theismann's number 7 was given to Dwayne Haskins. But now there's two official numbers, and I think this guy was extremely worthy of getting a retired number. What do you think?
Well, to the extent that I agree with retired numbers, but yes, I think that he was an amazing player. I did want to also add that I had read that when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1983, I think I read this correctly. He was only behind Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson in total yards. So even that many years after he played, he still remained third in total yards, combined yards.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. The whole retired jersey thing or retired number. I mean, I get it. He was really, really good. As I said, he was before my time. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to retire a jersey, that he's a good guy to do that with. I'm always of the thought that there's only 100 or only 99 numbers you can use. I guess you can use 0, so maybe there's 100 numbers. So how many numbers can you retire before you're not going to be able to feed a team or
Yeah.
field a team? So
Especially
I
with
know
all
that's
the rules, you can't retire all the 70s or all the 80s
right.
because what's your receivers gonna wear at that point, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
so
So one of the other things that you mentioned, the Bobby Beathard and Charlie Casserly thing, I think he was bothered by that, but he was really upset when Steve Spurrier gave his number, and I don't have the guy's name, some nobody,
hmm
but he basically gave his number to some, I don't know if it was a rookie or whatever, but I think that was when, um, I know he wanted to be general manager, but I think he got that. But when Steve Spurrier, basically a nobody coach that obviously didn't know the history of the Redskins, gives a nobody player Bobby Mitchell's number,
number
and
49, yeah.
yeah, and Steve Spurrier had no clue. Hell, he didn't even know half his players' names, much less the history of the team. But
Fair
that's
enough.
another subject. We could talk about Steve Spurrier for a long time.
Yeah, we don't need to go to
But
that route. Yeah, definitely don't need to do that.
I think about, you're reading out those first 2 years numbers, and to consider that that was only in 14 games. I'm
Yeah.
looking at what was his? Yeah, he actually in those 2 years started all of the games, but from what I can gather, in his 10-year career, it looks like he didn't miss a game. He didn't start all the games, but he didn't miss a game.
So Iron Man as well. I did not have
Yeah,
that on here.
I
But
mean, I
yeah,
assume I'm pretty sure 58 to 60 he played in 12 games. I think there was only 12 games then. I could be wrong, but from 61 through 68 he played in all 14 games. So I believe that was about the time they went from 12 to 14 games. So yeah, he
I
played
mean,
in every game.
even in today's standards, 72 catches for 1,384 yards. You're probably top 10 in the league.
Oh
Even
yeah.
this passing league today, you're still in the top 10 with those numbers.
Oh, no doubt.
It's
Absolutely no
these
doubt.
numbers are insane for the time that he was able to do it in, and it was especially because, as I said, that they used to run the ball. Some teams only ran the ball. I mean, it was crazy back in those days.
Yeah,
That
passing was not it was actually not frowned upon. That's not the right word, but it was kind of like, that was a cowardly, I guess. The football was thought, run the ball. You have to run it through us, and tried to pass the ball. They looked at it as and
a finesse game and a power
yeah,
game. Yeah.
yeah, you're chickening out because you don't think you can run on us, so you're going to pass the ball.
Mm.
And I think there was a little bit of that. But yeah, it just a phenomenal career. I'll be honest, I did not realize that he was actually the first black player for the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Preston was the lone holdout. All the other teams had black players, and he was an obvious racist. There's no question about it. But
Mm-hmm.
he did not want to hire black people, and I know that DC basically said, if you're going to play at our stadium, you have to conform to the new rules, which is, they had opened the door for that, and he finally relented, and Bobby Mitchell was the
Yeah,
guy
we
that he
actually drafted
traded
a
for.
player. I could look it up, but we actually drafted a player first overall who was a black player that same season. But
Yeah, but I think we had traded for Bobby Mitchell already.
no, I think this was he was no. You're right. We had traded for another guy. But he was the first one that we drafted that same year.
Yep.
But we
Yes.
actually traded him that first overall pick because he was afraid that this guy was going to ask for too much money. That was his excuse. Maybe it was actually just he didn't want a black player. Who knows? But he ended up trading him. But what was crazy is that player, I wish I could remember his name. I could probably look it up real quick. Ended up dying of leukemia before he ever played a game.
Wow.
I was what? Like, it's it's terrible to look at it this way, but it's like, when's the Redskins gotten that lucky before? We actually trade away the guy that has an unknown case of leukemia.
I wonder if that's what Brian's song was about. That was a movie about a football player, Gale Sayers. Brian Piccolo was the guy that died, I believe, of leukemia.
Ernie Davis was the guy that we drafted first overall in the 1962 draft. but the Redskins owner was wary of Davis's potential salary demands and traded his rights to Cleveland for a first-round pick and Leroy Jackson. But unbeknownst to anyone at the time of the draft, Davis had leukemia and died without ever playing a down in professional football.
Hey, I remember that guy, Leroy Jackson. Not.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was very interesting. That's on Bobby Mitchell's Wikipedia page. So I didn't go hunting that out. It's just that's how they ended up getting here. But yeah.
Yeah, Brian's song
No,
was
no, no,
actually
sorry.
about.
No, that's how he got here. There it is. Traded his rights to Cleveland for Mitchell and a first-round pick who was Leroy Jackson. So, no, that's how we traded Ernie Davis for Bobby Mitchell.
Oh, okay, so they did draft Ernie Davis first.
Yeah, they drafted Ernie Davis and then traded his rights away for Mitchell and a first-round pick. So...
Yeah, Brian's song was
trade.
about Brian Piccolo, and he was a teammate. He was the Bears on the Chicago Bears. He was a teammate of Gale Sayers, and he died of actually cancer.
Yeah,
but I think leukemia is very similar to that anyway. But yeah, so I mean, if they're going to retire Jersey, I mean, you can't complain about the person they picked. He was way ahead of his time, and you're right. If he had played. I think he'd have played in today's game. He probably would have been just as good. You know, a lot of times you have players that are good for their era. I think he would have made it.
It's very possible, game. Especially in a pass-happy league where he was clearly really good at it.
Yeah,
but
I like the saying that he.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I like the saying. He goes, I like to carry the ball, but I also like to catch it. I'm like, okay, well, that's good because you're playing football.
I like to pick things up and put things down. Yeah. I play football.
Yes.
You know.
So anyway.
Stereotypical jock, right? I like to catch and I like to run the ball. Yep. I will run right through you. Awesome.
Yeah, I pretty much like doing everything that I'm doing in football. So that's good.
Awesome. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. The like button is on this side for mobile. If you have any of your own thoughts or questions, comment down below. We may just answer it next video. Thanks. See ya.